Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is time to cover another Africa Cup of Nations, this time as reigning champions of Africa. Now, of course, we've just seen Algeria lift the FIFA Arab Cup in Qatar. Congratulations to the national team. I've watched all the games, very good, and we'll be coming on to some of the players from that tournament that could potentially go to AFCON in this video, because I do think there were some very good performances. But today's video is our first AFCON 2021 main video. We're going to be covering the tournament in depth. There's going to be AFCON dailies, there's going to be debates, there's going to be group previews, there's going to be reviews, match reviews, the pre-tournament friendlies, all that good stuff, inshallah. Of course, Algeria are the reigning champions, and in this video I will be choosing my squad that I would take to AFCON for the tournament. So going to be a bit of debate in this one. You can take 28 players, up to 28 players if you want to, because of the COVID situation. So that'll be interesting. Not 23, you could take up to 28 players to this tournament. So yeah, I've picked 28. It doesn't mean Belmadi will. Of course, he might pick a bigger squad and then cut it down. There's two friendlies planned, I think, against Gambia and Ghana, both in Qatar at the beginning of January. So we'll see what happens to the squad by then. Lots of countries announcing their squad these days. So this is the squad I'd take. Now, it doesn't mean this is the squad Belmadi's going to take. I'm choosing my 28 players that I would take to the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon next month. So these are my 28 players I would take to AFCON. So starting off with three goalkeepers, and for me this is probably one of the more simpler options. Of course, you're going to have Rice and Bolhi going. He is the #1 goalkeeper. He's just lifted the Arab Cup as captain. He's got plenty of experience. He goes as #1. Alexander Akija, playing in Ligue 1 for Metz. He goes European experience. He goes as the #2 goalkeeper and good competition for Mbolhi. And then the thing is with the third goalkeeper, right? There's a little bit of debate now. Of course, Azzedine Douha went to the last AFCON. He went basically for the vibes. You could take Majadel, you could take Zugba and Majadel have been in and around the Arab Cup squad. Of course, Mbolhi played the games in goal. But, however, the third choice, we've got Mbolhi and Akija in their 30s. Again, if you take Zugba, he's in his 30s. Douha is late in his 30s. For me, use the third goalkeeper spot as an opportunity to get a young goalkeeper in and around the squad. Prepare him for what AFCONs are like for the future when we do need him. So, that doesn't mean it will happen. It's a bit of a wild card, but for me, you take Mbolhi, he's going to play. You take Akija as your backup, and you get Luka Zidane as your third keeper. I think you take Luka Zidane. You get him in and around the squad. It's an ageing position, the goalkeeping position, right? And if you take Luka Zidane, a guy in La Liga, by the way, of course, maybe not the best goalkeeper, but in La Liga, of course, you've got all of the backstory of him being Zinedine Zidane's son and Zinedine Zidane having a kid in the Algeria team. What's the harm in having Luka Zidane as a third goalkeeper, have him training with these players, have him getting used to Algerian football? That's how I see it. So I take Mbolhi, Akija and Luka Zidane. Listen, let's be honest, at the end of the day, third goalkeeper doesn't matter too much, but I take Luka Zidane as the third goalkeeper. So that leaves us with 25 outfield players. Now, of course, these can be split into all sorts of categories. We've got the defence, we've got left backs, right backs and centre backs. So let's look at the defence, right? Left back, Ramy Bensebaini will be the starting left back. And then you've got quite a few options. You can take Mohamed Fares. Now, it looks like Mohamed Fares probably not fit at the moment. Injury problems. Not a useful player to take, unfortunately. A good player. We need players that are fit. And we've seen Bensebaini get injured before. We need someone to step in, ready, fresh, to do a job. I don't think Fares is ready with the game time he's had. And Belmadi doesn't really pick players that don't have too much game time. And based off the Arab Cup, it would be very harsh to leave Chetty out. Now, Chetty plays in Tunisia with Esperance. I think he's going to leave there and get a better move after that Arab Cup tournament. Reward Chetty and take him as Bensebaini's backup left back. And I think Bensebaini and Chetty will be two really good left backs to take to this tournament. So I've gone Bensebaini and Chetty. Of course, there's the talk of Rayan Aït-Nouri. Look, if Aït-Nouri comes, fantastic. But I haven't seen anything to suggest that Rayan Aït-Nouri is going to be Algerian next week. I just haven't seen that. So the safe option is Ramy Bensebaini and Chetty as the two left backs. Right back, I think it's more serious because Youssef Attal is the #1 right back. However, very injury prone. We saw last AFCON, he ended up missing the the end of the quarter-final, the semi-final and the final. So you take Atal, of course, and you start him where you can. Then you take Ben Yedder, again, off the back of a very good tournament of the Arab Cup. You take Ben Yedder. We leave out Mehdi Zafan. Unfortunately, thanks for your services, Mehdi, but I think Zafan, it's time to go. And then I think you take a third right back just in case. And then, you of course, you've got Halle Mia. But I'd love to see Akim Zadedka. Zadedka, a player in League, again, very passionate about Algeria, playing for Clermont in Liga, got promoted, played for them in Liga this season. I think you take Atal, injury prone, you take Ben Yedder, solid at the Arab Cup, and you take Zadedka, again, a new one to have in and around the squad for the future. I think that's good. So I take Atal, Ben Yedder and Zadedka. Of course, that's if Zadedka gets his passport and his S12 and his green forms and all that nonsense sorted out in time. So I take Zadedka. And then I take 5 centre-halves. I think you can't really go wrong with Ben Lamry and Mandy, the 2 centre-backs that will probably start. And then you take Touba, the young one. Probably take Badren after the squads he's been in with Algeria before. And, of course, his involvement at the Arab Cup as well. He's fresh. So you take Ben Lamry, Mandy, Touba and Badren. And then the 5th centre-back is the debate. Do you need 5 centre-backs? Well, in the tournament, you want to go to the final, you want to have options. And I think in this situation, you started in Liga the other day. And if you start in Liga, you've got to have some talent. I'm taking Mehdi Youb as centre-back number 5. Okay, he's centre-back 5, so it doesn't mean he's going to play. I take Mehdi Youb. Of course, you look at the other options. You've got Mehdi Taharat you could take. You've got Tugay from the Arab Cup. But I think Mehdi Youb is another player we should be looking to for the future. Get AFCON experiences. Of course, Ben Lamry and Mandy, close to the 30s and stuff. So, Ben Lamry, Mandy, Touba, Badren and Mehdi Youb. Again, you've got to start building for the future. With a World Cup in 11, 10 months' time, you need young players ready to step in. So that's my defence. I think it's a strong defence. Of course, your starting back four is going to be... Your keeper and back four, if fit, are going to be the same as the last AFCON. You're going to have Mbolhi in goal. And you're looking to Ben Sabani and Atal with Ben Lamry and Mandy in the middle. Of course, you've got players out like Zafan and Mahrez. Of course, Rafik Halish as well was a part of that squad. Mehdi Taharat was there. I think this time you bring in the likes of Chetty, Ben Yedder, but then off of a good Arab Cup, fringe players and Mehdi Youb. 2, but ones for the future as well. So I think you've got a good base there for the goalkeeper and the defender. And then you've got your centre midfield. Now, of course, the last AFCON we could only take 23 players, but Kubla didn't go after being selected after some incidents on Ukija's Twitch or whatever. I think this time you've got to bolster your centre midfield. Now, we're not going to probably see Adlin Gudiora. It'll be a real shock to me. I know Gudiora's gone to Sheffield United. He hasn't played that much. He's been injured as well. A big shock to me if you see Gudiora back in. Now, we know Gudiora can do it. He'll do a job for you. Gudiora will do a job for you. He'll do a job. He'll play his heart. He'll probably get sent off, but he'll play his heart out. Not for me this time. I'd love to see Gudiora in the coaching setup one day. But you take Feghouli, you take Benassa, and you take Zarouki 100%. Feghouli, Benassa, Zarouki. That's your starting 3. You go with your 4-3-3. That's your starting 3. Then you take Kubla, a player playing regularly in League. You've got to take him. And I think you've got to take Boudaoui as well. Now, I'm not the biggest Boudaoui fan, but I think he's got to go considering the options we have. I think you take Boudaoui. He went to the last AFCON. This will be his second AFCON as well. Maybe a bit more game time for him. Boudaoui gives you another option off of the bench if you need to rotate. So that's sort of your 5 centre mids. Now, of course, you could take a 6th. You could take Mehdi Abid. You could take Adam Zorgan. You've got all the talk about Yassin Adli and Hossam Aouar. And are these guys going to... I'm not going to put them in because I don't know if they want to be Algerian for a month or not. Anyway... That's, for me, your 5 centre mids. And you've got a solid central midfield there. And, of course, you've got Feghouli you can play in the attack as well, if need be. I take Farid Boulaya as well as a 6th midfielder. For me, he's sort of a centre attacking midfielder. I think Boulaya gets in over Ilan Kabal. I think it's too early for Kabal, unfortunately. And then you've got your wingers. Now, I've got 3 left wingers and 3 right wingers. I think Riyad Mahrez, of course, the captain, Man City. Said Benrahma. Youssef Belaili has to go, of course. Adamu Nurse, I think, has to go. He started to play and score a bit with Napoli. And then you got, because it's a bigger squad, I've thrown in Rashid Ghazel for the right and Yassin Brahimi for the left as well. Of course, Yassin Brahimi was the player of the tournament at the Arab Cup. We haven't really seen Brahimi in the last 2 to 3 years with Algeria. We haven't seen him because you've got Benrahma and Belaili coming in on that sort of left-hand side. So I'm taking Brahimi. I think it's really harsh after winning player of the tournament at the Arab Cup, scoring the goal in the final to clinch it. I think he scored quite a few goals at the tournament. And then to not take into Cameroon with the World Cup and AFCON experience but Brahimi has. Yes, he's playing for Al Rayyan. You've got to take Brahimi for me. Brahimi's got to be in there. And it doesn't mean he has to start. I think Belaili's got the nod even over Benrahma. You've got to take... I'd love to see Brahimi, because it would probably be one of his last tournaments, Brahimi. So I'd love to see him go to the AFCON. Rashid Gazelle as well, in and around the right wing area. So you've got Mahrez, Unas and Gazelle for the sort of the right. You've got Brahimi, Belaili and Ben Rahma for the left. Of course, Belmadi might not choose to take 28 players, which means some of these will be cut out. You've got your likes of Zinedine Farhat, of Hilal Soudani. Not for me for this tournament, unfortunately. Not for me. You've got Michael Elise. I've seen no indication that he'll be ready in time. Listen, Belmadi might have a super plan and suddenly unleash some players that he's been working on. But from what I've seen, if he does fair play, from what I've seen nothing to suggest we'll get any of these players. So I still think that's a very strong attack. Again, the strikers, 3 strikers. Now, of course, Andy Delors won't be here. He went to the last one, he won't be here. No matter what you think of Delors, right, on or off the pitch, it's a big blow that we haven't got him. One of the top scorers in France, fast, good in the air. It's a blow we haven't got Delors. Whether you like him or not, he's a big blow. He's a loss to the team. We're weaker without him. So Bounedjah goes, Slimani goes, and then 2 strikers isn't enough. You need a 3rd. Now, I think Belmadi will look to Amora, the guy in Switzerland. I think he'll take Amora for similar reasons to what I said about some other players. Young, experience, training with a team. I wouldn't take Amora. I actually, again, another wild card. It's my squad. I mean, you can leave your squad in the comments down below. This is what I would do if I was a manager. I'm taking Ishak Belfodil. I'm taking Belfodil. This is a guy who has been called up before. This is a guy who's in the Bundesliga, not in Switzerland, in the Bundesliga, and recently scored against Borussia Dortmund for Hertha Berlin. Now, come on, I mean, scoring against Dortmund for me is worth more than scoring against the Swiss Alps. Do you know what I mean? So scoring against some Toblerone and chocolate bars. So I think if you're looking for a 3rd man, if the 2 get injured, Bounedjah and Slimani, and of course he could play 4-4-2. We've seen the 4-4-2 recently from Belmadi. Could he look to play Bounedjah and Slimani together? I think that you risk a man in midfield if you do that. You stick to the 4-3-3. I think Belfodil was striker number 3. You can't really go wrong. I think for a 3rd striker, a guy in the Bundesliga, and we've got to remember a couple of years ago he was scoring 15 to 20 goals for Hoffenheim with him and Kramaric up front. So that's 28 names. Belmadi can take up to 28. We'll see how many he does take. He might feel that he doesn't need that many. You got your main players there, guys. You got your main players. I put some players in from the Arab Cup, you know, Chetty, Baniada, Badalain, very good Arab Cups. Of course, there's maybe Ben Dubka from the midfield. Ben Dubka could go in over Badawi, but that's harsh. Could go in over Belaya if that's too many attacking players. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Dubka made it. Overall, I think it's a strong squad. I think it needs bolstering for a World Cup run. Definitely would need bolstering for a World Cup run. There's a good core there. There's a lot of people in and around their 30s. So, you know, we've got the fresh blood in. We've got your Zarouki in, your Ben Rama in, your Tuba in, which weren't at the last tournament. That's why I'd like to see a Lucas Zidane as the 3rd keeper, because the goalkeeping situation needs addressing considering how old the keepers are. But anyway, that's the 28 names I would take to AFCON. We'll see which names do end up going to AFCON when Belmadi announces the squad. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We are back with AFCON content. That's the names of the players I would take to the tournament. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.